PLG 100% does not work for this industry.
SaaS CMO Pro.
Hey guys, Bill Macaitis here with SaaS CMO Pro. Let's dive into it. Let's talk a little bit more about what is this mythical industry where product-led growth 100% does not work. All right, thanks folks for joining in here at SaaS CMO Pro. My mission is to educate marketers, CEOs, VCs on modern SaaS marketing. And a big part of modern SaaS marketing is product-led growth. It's something that I really embraced at my time at Slack, where I was CMO, CRO, my time at Zendesk, where I was CMO, and my time at Salesforce, where I was SVP of Marketing. And today, what I do is I serve on boards, I serve as a board advisor for a lot of other awesome SaaS startups. And I've run into this situation where I've had multiple CEOs kind of tell me, our space is different. Our industry is really different, unique. You can't do product-led growth. We couldn't do things like freemium. We can't do things like measuring our DAUs or PQLs, or we could never do a land and expand or seed and grow. It's just not done here. We can't make our product fun to use. This industry is very unique. It's very different. We can't do that. And that CEO will make a very convincing argument. That CEO, that founder, as to why their industry, and a lot of times these industries tend to be a little bit more older, a little bit more dated, right? Maybe it's the insurance industry, maybe it's the, agriculture industry, whatever it is, right? But you'll get these reasons why it can't work. And I guess what I'm here to talk about today is I do not think that is true. I'm sorry, respectfully. It's a pattern that I've seen again and again where a company, even a SaaS startup, a lot of times SaaS startups are founded by founders, tech founders, product founders, and they'll do a pretty innovative product, but for whatever reason, they'll choose a very dated go-to-market model. And sometimes that's just because they're hiring their first, head of sales, and that person is a little bit up there in terms of seniority, and they've only sold one way. They've only done outbound sales. They've only sold top down. They've only seen other people in their space sell that way, right? And when you're talking about PLG, this is an advanced, go-to-market model. This is, just as you have a cutting-edge AI model that's coming out. PLG is kind of like the cutting-edge go-to-market model. So there's going to be some resistance, right? I'm sure before the AI craze started, there were a lot of people that were very resistant on AI. Hey, you can't do AI. Oh, it's not going to work. This, that. And then ChatGPT comes out and it opens the floodgates, right? And people become open-minded to it all of a sudden. Well, the same thing happens with product-led growth. A lot of people are just very resistant. Hey, we've only done go-to-market this way. We've only know marketing where you run events and send out press releases. And we only know sales where you do outbound communication and sell top-down into the CIO, CTO. And our deal lengths are 2 years and we like it. This is one of those things where PLG is an advanced concept and it is going to ruffle some feathers, right? And it is scary. I've talked about that, why I've done a whole separate video on that, on why founders or salespeople or all the different fears that comes out when you're embracing on PLG. It can be scary, right? There are different elements in it. There's a lot of elements in PLG, whether that's freemium, seed and grow, thinking about thresholds, having a simple, easy to use product, moving into the SMB and then moving up into the enterprise. A lot of different tenets of it, but a lot of those tenets are scary. If you're a salesperson that's only sold one way, top down, and all of a sudden you have a free plan, that's scary. If you're a CFO that has never done PLG before, and all of a sudden you have people using your product that you aren't necessarily getting money for, that's scary. You're oh God, there's costs associated with it. If you're a CEO that's never done go-to-market and your senior people are resistant to it, that's a little hard, right? God, can we push this forward? I worked with a lot of founders that are a little more open-minded, maybe because they come from the product side and they want to try it, but sometimes you'll have internal resistance to it, right? Just because, hey, that's just not how we've done things. And some people, adapt and change and some people don't, right? And so I guess that's a long way of saying that, hey, I think that's a myth. I think that PLG is going to work regardless of your industry. I don't care if you're selling to SMBs, if you're selling to enterprises. I don't care what space it is. In fact, I would argue the older the space, the better. Because if everyone else is using the 30-year-old dated playbook and you have a more modern playbook, oh my God, you're going to grow faster. Your brand awareness is going to spread. You're going to monetize better. You're going to grow more capital efficiently. You're not going to need to hire so many expensive, BDRs and SDRs that are cold calling and A's and that's the only motion and you have these long deal cycles, your cash flow is going to get better. There are so many positive benefits to doing it. But, these myths sometimes are out there. And so anyways, I would, challenge you guys, if you hear that myth, if you are a CEO, if you're a VC, one of your portfolio companies is like, hey, we can't do it, our space is different. I would push a little bit on that. I haven't found that to be the case. I've worked with a lot of companies where we've implemented PLG, even in these like older spaces, and it ends up helping them so much. So anyways, I thought that would be a fun one to talk about today. I'd love to hear from you guys. Have you heard that? Like, oh, my space PLG won't work. I'd love to hear, what your experience has been. And thanks again for joining SaaS CMO Pro.